Before a dangerous plant ever ends up in someone's yard, it usually looks completely innocent. Somewhere in America right now, there's a backyard that seems totally harmless. Neat fence, a little pool, some flowers the owner is proud of. The kind of place where you'd barbecue with friends and never think twice about what's growing along the fence line. But sitting right next to the patio furniture or the swimming pool could be something much closer to a biological weapon. A plant someone picked simply because it looked beautiful or sounded exotic, like rosary pea, without realizing its seeds carry a toxin thousands of times more potent than cyanide. With some of these plants, the gap between a pretty centerpiece and a trip to the emergency room is razor thin. One leaf chewed by a pet, a handful of berries crushed by a toddler, that's all it takes. So how does something this ordinary end up on a federal banned plant list? In this episode, we're looking at beautiful plants that are deadlier than they look. At first glance, this first one doesn't even look like trouble. It looks like jewelry. Rosary pea. Bright red seeds capped in jet black, almost perfectly round. For generations, they've been strung into bracelets, rosaries, and decorative jewelry across the tropics and subtropics, including parts of the southern United States, where the vine has spread into Florida and Hawaii. Inside each seed is abrin, a protein toxin more potent by weight than ricin. The seed coat is hard enough that swallowing one whole usually lets it pass through the body. Crack it, chew it, or pierce it while making jewelry, and that changes completely. That detail explains poisoning cases tied to seed jewelry in places where the plant's beauty was the whole appeal and nobody realized what was inside the bead. The finished strand looks harmless on a wrist. The danger sits inside every single bead. If one plant hides its danger inside jewelry, the next one kills through something as ordinary as a glass of milk. White snakeroot has been hiding in American woodlands for centuries. It grows across the eastern United States in shaded forests, along fence rows, in pasture where cattle graze without anyone thinking about what's mixed in with the grass. It contains a toxin called trematol, and you don't have to touch the plant to be in danger. Cattle eat it, and the toxin passes into their milk and meat. The person who drinks the milk or eats the beef is the one who gets sick. In the early 1800s, unexplained deaths swept through frontier communities. People became weak, nauseous, racked with pain. Farmers called it milk sickness, and nobody understood the cause for decades. Among the suspected victims was Nancy Hanks Lincoln, mother of Abraham Lincoln, who died after drinking contaminated milk. White snakeroot just grew where it always grew. It didn't need to touch a single person directly to be lethal. If white snakeroot is a wild plant quietly poisoning people through the food chain, the next one is much more obvious and much closer to home. Oleander. At first glance, this looks like a gardener's delight. Long, narrow, glossy leaves and clusters of flowers in pink, white, red, or peach. In warm parts of the country, you see it around hotels, highways, backyard fences, and poolside gardens. It is tough, handles heat, and looks expensive without much attention. On paper, it's the perfect plant for a sunny yard. Except that oleander is not just decorative. Inside the plant are cardiac glycosides, chemicals that disturb the electrical rhythm of the heart. Leaves, flowers, stems, sap, even dried pieces can be toxic. For adults, children, dogs, cats, horses, accidental ingestion can become a serious medical emergency. That's the contrast. Oleander doesn't look like it belongs behind a warning label. It looks like something your neighbor planted because it matched the patio furniture. If oleander is the polished shrub that turns up in millions of gardens, the next plant doesn't need pruning or planting at all. It just sits at child eye level and looks a little too much like candy. This is white baneberry, more commonly called doll's eyes. The berries are an unnatural white, each with a single black dot sitting on bright red stems in shaded forests across the eastern US. They look like tiny plastic eyes in the undergrowth. A few berries can cause heart symptoms, and the plant contains compounds that affect the heart. What matters most is where it grows. In backyards bordering woods, in places where a curious child might find something that looks like candy right at their eye level. One wrong assumption, one handful of pretty white berries is all it takes. And then there's a plant that doesn't bother with subtlety at all. It doesn't hide in beads, in milk, in shrubs, or in forest shadows. It stands on the beach and is dangerous from top to bottom. Manchineel. This is probably the king of toxicity in the plant kingdom. Nicknamed the Little Apple of Death, Manchineel grows along beaches and coastlines in Florida and the Caribbean, and in some places its trunk is marked with paint or warning signs. Every part of this tree is toxic. The sap can raise blisters on the skin within minutes. Standing under it during rain can cause burns, because the water carries the sap down from the branches. The small green fruit looks almost exactly like an apple and has earned the nickname Manzanilla de la Muerte, the little apple of death. Florida's park services post signs near manzanilla trees because tourists keep mistaking the fruit for something safe to eat, or take shelter underneath it during sudden storms. This is a tree where the danger isn't hidden inside a seed. It's standing in the open, on a public beach. All unique plants. One that killed quietly through a farmhouse cow. One whose seeds have been worn as jewelry. One that keeps turning up in emergency rooms because it looks like a perfect garden shrub. One that hides by looking edible to a child. And one that has to be marked with warning signs because it is dangerous from top to bottom. Not every dangerous plant needs a dramatic history or a federal label. Some of them are quietly growing exactly where you'd expect to find something harmless.